Welcome to The Watching Dead, the officially unofficial podcast for The Walking Dead on AMC. I'm Jim.
I'm Aaron.
And today we're talking about Season 11, Episode 3, titled Hunted. Aaron, what'd you think of this follow-up to a couple of episodes that we didn't really care for?
Yeah, I thought this was a step in the right direction and mostly good. In fact, that's what I was hoping this would happen. We were talking about in last episode, and I think the feedback, the idea that like there was a lot of shitty seasons in 6, 7, and 8, or 7 and 8 for sure. But yet, like when Kang referred back to those for some character moments, they still kind of work because it's like, well, okay, it didn't work at the time, but like literally that's what happened in the plot. So like, yeah. I think that like Maggie and Negan in this episode are where they would be if Negan had carried into like not been quite as big an asshole in the last 2 episodes, like tried to be a little bit more fighting for his lifestyle or whatnot. But it worked because like that's kind of where I expected them to be, and it's not how I got there. But now that they're here, it's like, okay, it's not all right. Maggie hasn't forgotten. There's a couple scenes that directly reference her experiences with Glenn and Negan. But I thought it was, this is a step in the right direction for sure, I think. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you. This episode has like one big freaking question mark that we'll talk about when we get to it. But other than that, I think it was pretty good. I don't really give a shit about prison tats. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure they'll do something to sympathize that character at some point, but so far it has not been it. So I don't know. I like Kelly, and I like the conflict they're setting up with like Carol giving Kelly some kind of false hope, but you get the opinion that maybe it's also Carol giving herself false hope, trying to get herself off the hook for the shit that she got the rest of the group into. All that stuff is like pretty nuanced, pretty interesting. It's certainly more interesting than cooking rat soup, I guess. And then, the stuff that they're doing with the kids, I guess I liked. I don't know.
Oh, I really like that. And I don't know.
Parents not, this is a different world, right?
Yeah. I don't know what I think about Magna being the elder stateswoman of the group that can like quash beefs and negotiate interpersonal relationships. Like, where did this fucking Magna come from? Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought other than that and a couple of other things, I thought it was mostly good. I really dug the stuff. The kids talking about the relationship with their parents, eating horse meat, what it's like to be a kid in the apocalypse. That was good. It didn't feel it didn't feel like they were like wise behind their years. They just felt like kids that have been through some shit,
Yeah, and I like Judith kind of being the moral support there, right? Like I get it, like. Is it AJ or RJ? I forget. I mix them up with
Rick
the game.
Jr. I think that's what
Rick
it is. So it's RJ.
Okay, RJ. Yeah, him being like, kind of worried that, his mom's not coming back. Like you see all of these kids with like parents who've said they're going to come back, and then they either don't come back or like they're so far off the radar at this point. Who knows if they're coming back? And RJ, who's just like, just had this moment with his mom, right? Where she left. She's still out there. She might come back, but I don't know. Yeah, a lot of question marks around those kids at the moment, and I feel like they're dealing with it pretty well.
Yeah, I still think the Reavers are not super interesting, but I'm a little bit interested in the idea that they might be a religious cult. You know me. Crazy religious cult. I'm all about that shit. So like I thought that the idea that there was something like the Reapers, maybe now I'm thinking about that as more of a biblical sense than a Firefly sense, that the day of reaping and you're separating the wheat from the chaff, the sheep from the goats, all that kind of thing. I think that would be kind of interesting. I'm a little bit more invested now that they're not just literally faceless goons.
All right. I've got a Casey Jones theory I'm working on in relation to the Reapers. Yeah, which this episode has been the genesis for.
He's 100% an ex-Reaper, right? Still an explanation.
That's where I'm going, but I got a little addition that probably won't pan out. It's probably not right, but we'll see when we talk about it.
Is he going to make a nuclear bomb from a fallen Russian satellite?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
and a heaping bowl of rat soup.
Yeah. It was painful seeing Carol return to the scene of the crime when she went back to the supply garage and started scrounging turnips and shit. I'm like, oh god, Cooking with Carol Part 3. No. But that was good. And honestly, the horses was a nice shot in the arm for the community, you know?
Yeah, that moment where they start like they wrangle the horses into the pen and they start playing the upbeat music, the hopeful music. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm feeling it. You know,
come home,
yeah. And I like the sort of
they took a hard left turn after that scene back into like Walking Dead, but yeah, at that moment it's
totally understandable.
It's nice when the characters have a couple moments where they can have a measure of happiness. Yeah.
I will say it's pretty efficient food storage. Like horses are just gonna eat grass or whatever. Got plenty of grass around.
It's true.
I think like keeping the walking refrigerator that is the horse meat on legs is pretty good. They can ride them until they gotta eat them, and
ride them till just like the old days on the range.
Yeah, it's good stuff. And I like the sort of nuanced thing they're setting up between Aaron and Carol, where like they each have their own ideas on what is going to help this community in this moment of crisis, and they're pursuing those ideas. It still feels like a little bit Carol taking matters into her own hands in dangerous ways.
She's still doing that. Yes, this is still a problem.
She is. But also, I don't totally disagree with her conclusions here, right? I mean, I personally agree that food is probably more important than the walls to some degree.
Yeah.
And, it takes a lot of energy to put walls back up. What's going to provide that energy? Well, Carol might with horse meat. So I don't know.
It's tough because
good.
like in the survival situation, they've got there's a couple of rules of thumb. Like you can go 3 minutes without oxygen, 3 hours in inclement weather without shelter, 3 days without 3 days without water, 3 weeks without food. So like that says that the shelter is more important, especially since I would say this is an inclement, like a zombie herd away. But like it's
getting colder,
especially when that's in a survival situation when a healthy adult is going into the wilds. Like these are people who are already been deprived, so it's tough. Here's the thing, though.
That's what I like about it.
There should be someone in charge of making these calls. They shouldn't just be whatever the hell the big bad of the community just decides. I know that they have a hierarchy. Maybe that's all falling apart. Half of them are out with Maggie scavenging.
It has.
But like there still should be somebody in charge calling these shots instead of just everyone fucking cowboying it. Literally cowgirling it.
I agree. But it doesn't seem like Carol's going to be contained by any shot calling. She's just going to do what she wants to do, what she thinks is best.
I mean, that's been Carol since Terminus, essentially. So probably not much. Or actually, since who did she banish in the prison arc that started all this off? Like this is mid-season 3 Carol onward, and I kind of say like I kind of I'm waiting for something to bite her in the ass, but things have already bit her in the ass. It's just her ass is really tough and bite proof. Like she got Connie killed. She got Hilltop burnt to the ground. Like these are not like flawless victories that she's this isn't like her in her heroics at Terminus where she one woman Rambo'd everyone to safety. Yeah.
People are gonna write in and say she didn't get Connie killed. Yes, we know. But it appeared
no one but the audience knows that, it seems like.
Right.
So from the show's perspective, she's gotten Connie killed rather.
Yeah, which it's going to be really funny when Connie comes back and Prison Tats has to eat all the crow about like maybe you should temper the expectations here because she's probably dead.
No, I've got this warring inside me where it's like I want to see Magna proven wrong and taken down a peg, but I also want Carol to like fucking calm down a little bit. And
right,
there's no victory here, just losses.
Yeah,
because Connie come back. Although I do like Connie, a lot. I miss her dynamic with Daryl. But yeah, her showing up is going to vindicate Carol, and I only get one half of that sweet victory.
True. All right, I think it's about time we got into the recap. What do you say?
Yeah.
All right, the recap starts off where we left our Reaper fighters last week. I don't know, the survivors out in the wilderness. Reapers are attacking, survivors are running. Negan takes an arrow in the leg. Gabriel gets like slashed, but not really. This
Nicked on the
Reaper
neck.
really pulls their punch, right?
It looks like he's going for a throw. I don't know. Are the Reapers might just be fucking with him?
Maybe
because it or.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't know. Like driving, like hurting. I wondered if there was some deliberate when I started to see the cowboy rustling going on. I wonder if there's a deliberate illusion between the group of Alexandrians hunting the horses versus the Reapers kind of hunting and driving and hurting the survivors that they're doing. I don't know because like
and Maggie's just trying to get home.
Yeah,
maybe if the Reapers put their lassos down, she'd just approach them.
if you can just build up the trust where you can scratch them behind the ear, the Reapers are all yours.
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly because it seems like the Reapers are some kind of crazy between the one, military vet kind of looking dude and this guy's wanting the Lord's Prayer said over him. They seem nuts. So
yeah.
I don't understand their motivations, but it feels like they were, I mean, they were definitely killing some of them, but it seemed like it was just kind of a harassment rather than a decisive thing. Because like, why couldn't they just killed everyone? Like that, I kept on thinking like, okay, like every time Maggie would get a step ahead of it and start to relax, and a knife comes and sticks in the doorpost. Like, fuck, why? Yeah. They're right on her heels. Why don't they just do it? But I don't know.
She gets straight up like Indiana Jones whipped in this episode. Like, I don't know how you get a whip to do that.
I don't either.
To wrap around someone and tie itself. I don't think that's even really possible. But
yeah, but that further draws the allusion to the horse rustling. Like, it seems like they're being rounded up. Maybe there's going to be another just classic cannibal shit. I don't know.
Could be.
What did you think about, because there's a lot of hue and cry and not a lot of hue and cry. Someone wrote in feedback episode towards the 6 bonus episodes in the middle run, asked us what we thought about the switch to digital film. And I noticed up front, this was a markedly different style than I've ever seen the Walking Dead. Yeah. They were shooting low light, but with essentially, I think these were like DSL digital with a ring light on it.
Maybe ring light.
Lighting Lauren Cohen standing out in the middle of the woods with a ring light. Even though it's a wildly different look, I actually kind of liked it. I thought it was exciting. Maybe not the ring light stuff, but like the way the camera kind of pans over the whole group fighting and running and stuff. It added a lot of dynamicism. Like, this is some of the best action consistently the last 3 episodes that The Walking Dead's ever had.
Yeah, and they do some really cool stuff here with to tell us about like the Reaper's fighting style without really like, we don't need to Maggie to say, hey, they use stealth and they disappear like Batman in the mist and shit like that. They just kind of show it, right? They use the camera angles and the whirling camera. Maggie does a little bit of this herself. Yeah, and the music and the camera work, it was all working for me stylistically.
Yeah, I did think it's weird that Maggie herself Batmaned the Reapers. Like, when did she learn how? Yeah. But like, okay, whatever. But yeah, they definitely said that these guys hit hard, hit fast, and just melt into the night. Or the mall, wherever they're at. They melt.
Yeah, and Casey Jones in this scene gets like lassoed and lifted into the air.
And he's not seen the rest of the episode.
Disappeared. Yeah. So I'm not sure he's not seen the rest of the episode. We'll talk about it. All right. Okay. Next scene, back at Alexandria, Prison Tats is guarding the wall. I think she's about to shoot down some, what are these, scavengers?
She almost Andrea's Carol.
Oh, that too. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought because
I was talking about the birds.
Oh, gotcha. Well, yeah, I guess that'd be some tough eating, but it's a little bit of meat. But yeah, sure getting spooked and just whirled full draw on Carol. Okay, calm down.
Yeah,
presumably you've looked over that direction in the last like 10, 15 seconds. Like, there's not a zombie herd or just relax.
Yeah, so they return Carol and Kelly, and then Prison Tats asks Kelly if there's anything she wants to talk about, but the answer is no. And then Carol and Aaron are in the kitchen, I think. Aaron's trying to repair the wall. He follows Carol to the soup kitchen and gives her shit for skipping her work shift in a doomed attempt to find horses. He says the walls are about to fail. I don't know what that means. I don't know what walls about to fail means.
The walls have failed, Aaron. They're on the ground. Like I just saw you at great effort winch up one single panel in place, and I've seen enough of the walls to know like about every 10th one seems to be fallen. So I don't. Again, like I don't know what the fuck they're trying. Alexandria's fucked. It's never going to be back. It's never going to be up the right. It's just there's no food. There's no animals left to forage. Oceanside got, I don't know, obliterated off the map. There's a massive, the Whispers built a massive seawall, cut them off from the ocean for like 500 miles in every direction. It's crazy. But yeah, that's the thing. It's consistently, I don't think they've done a very good job of telling the devastation of Alexandria. But you know, the walls have fallen.
They're telling, not showing. For
about
sure.
to fall, and maybe it's about to fall in the sense that they have enough guards right now to like guard the breaches here and there, but like if any more fall or if they don't get the like it's not sustainable, something like that. But again, I'm just going on what they're saying, not much of what they're showing me.
Yeah. And then the kids are playing cards and talking about their parents going away and how, they promise, oh, well, we'll be right back.
I thought this was really good scripted kid dialogue. Like, they're the kids like teasing each other. Oh, the adults are always promise I'll see you soon. Love you. Mm-hmm. And then not Glenn Jr., Herschel Jr. brings a little bit of the realness of, that's something they used to say in the old times, but they can't promise us that anymore.
Which I absolutely love this scene paired with the scene of Boston Rob later where they leave him in the church, just basically saying, I'll be back for you. I'll come back for you.
Yeah. Well,
because they're talking to him like he's a fucking child, right? Oh, don't worry, we'll be back.
I do think this stuff is paired up, and you're supposed to make that comparison. Yeah. That like, and that's the saddest thing is when Herschel Jr. says, because Judith is trying to be the big girl, and well, my mom always comes back, and they say that to make us feel better, and he's like, no, they say it to make themselves feel better, and that's pretty right on. And it's sad that the kid realizes that. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. So what is this? You got RJ. What was the girl Grace? Is that Aaron's daughter? I think. I
don't know.
I wish they'd done more with her because I just I in fact it wasn't until the next scene where I'm like, oh, that might be Aaron's daughter that we've met like twice. But pretty good scene. The only thing missing is if there was a kid that they've established whose parents hadn't come back. And then they could be, like that would have been an additional facet. I don't know. Maybe that brought it down a little bit too much, but
yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
They're definitely leaning into the theme of like promising to return and you can't guarantee that. And like coming home. I mean, that's essentially what Maggie is trying to do, getting to Meridian, right? Reclaim her home and bring Alexandrians there. The horses, like later on, just want to come home, right? That's all they want to do. I couldn't tell you exactly what they're getting at, except that all of these themes are sort of aligned in some kind of way.
And sometimes that's enough to work on an emotional level. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And it worked pretty well, I thought, even if I couldn't like put it to words.
A yearning, some kind of longing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So Maggie approaches a shopping mall to find shelter, but she's tracked there by the Reapers. And she takes shelter inside and I think rigs some alarms here with some bottles. Mm-hmm. She ventures to the upper levels of the mall and almost gets eaten. And then she's attacked by a Reaper. She throws him down the stairs, but it doesn't stop him. All right, here's the big question mark in this episode. Maggie goes down a set of stairs. She sets up these bottles. Then she walks across... Think of fucking Macy's, right? Yeah. She walks across an empty ass Macy's to a different stairwell, goes up about 4 flights, and then a Reaper appears through the door, but she's alerted to the Reaper by a crashing bottle sound.
It sounded very close. Like I think you could
extremely close. And there's no fucking way she could hear a crashing bottle from 4 flights of stairs, a different stairwell, a whole department store across. The logistics of this are totally fucked. The spatial awareness is non-existent.
The only thing I can think of is but why would she do this? Why would she go up a flight of stairs, go all the way to the end of the mall, and then come back? So she's essentially a floor above the main entrance. Why would you do that if you're trying to get away from the Reapers?
Right.
I don't know. I honestly didn't even notice that as a problem, but it for sure is one.
Yeah. This is the problem The Walking Dead has. It just doesn't think about the space around these characters, right? It doesn't define the space well enough to shoot it like it should be shot and keep the characters within the context of the world it's created.
Yeah, and it's too bad because there's a couple things I thought they did well. Number one, I think they should use malls a lot more because there's a fuck ton of abandoned ones.
Dude.
We've got one in our fair city that's still open because there's like one store, but the rest of the mall has like been taken over. Like all the parking lots being used for an Amazon, fulfillment center. But you can still, even though there's only one thing open in the whole fucking mall, you can walk and roam it freely. And there's like sections of the roof that are starting to collapse and water is pooling on the floors. And it feels like you shouldn't be in there, but you can't. It gives you effortless post-apocalyptic vibes. And I thought this was really cool. They should do more with the fucking malls. The other thing is,
I love them.
I thought the scene of her like lighting, her losing the flashlight down the well, it gave me a lot of like season 1, episode 1 vibes. That thing of Rick like gingerly making his way down the staircase with just the light. And it showed us how much mature our characters are. Like Maggie's just brashly running down this thing, fighting zombies. She loses her flashlight. Then we're back to season 1, episode 1, and she lights that lighter, and you kind of see the Reaper over her shoulder kind of appear out of the gloom. I thought that was a really effective scene. It's too bad the glass shit is kind of stupid. Right. But that was a sweet setup. So I like the environment. I don't think they've ever done a mall before. Maybe, I guess going back to like downtown Atlanta stuff in season 1. But like, there's lots of abandoned malls. Do malls, more malls.
And it's a zombie thing. Like George Romero did this in the 70s, right? I love the combination of zombies and malls. I don't know why they don't do it more often.
Yeah, and I also get a little bit of like Westworld vibes, like that single escalator and a ruined floor with light streaming down it. Like it felt like some of the lower levels of the Delos facility. It's good. It's good. It's just effortlessly atmospheric.
I do question the survivors who hit up this mall. They're taking shelving units. They're taking clothes hangers, kiosks for clothes. They're taking cash registers, I guess. They took everything out of this mall. Where did they bring it?
Maybe it was one of those malls where it was collapsed before the fall, and now it's just like extra collapsed.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, malls were still pretty vibrant in the early 2000s.
There was definitely dead malls around, though.
Few and far between, though. Now they're like every mall.
Here's a question I had. So one of the Reapers goes over the rail to follow the zombie. Did she try to reach for him? Like as I felt like she tried to like reach like to save him. Oh. I'm like, what the fuck? But maybe it was just me.
I didn't notice it.
Gotcha.
Who knows? I was too focused on the shattering bottle not making any sense. Gabriel's in the woods with a knife in his leg. He's praying to God for strength, and he pulls it out and he goes after an injured Reaper who's limping off. Yeah,
he's quoting Psalms 91.
Gabriel's a mess.
Gabriel is a mess.
Fucking mess. I mean,
he believes in God. He doesn't believe in God.
You've done, and you're praying to God, and then the shit you're about to do, and saying God is dead and no one cares.
You know what he is? At this point, he's like Graham from Signs. He's like a priest that still believes in God, but he's so fucking pissed off he won't. He's spiting God by saying he doesn't believe in him.
You might be right.
That's the thing. If you're doing something to spite God, you still believe in him. Sorry.
Right. Yeah. It's only when you don't even consider God in the equation that you no longer believe in God.
That's when you can say, but like, Gabriel's really holding this front. And I think that's kind of interesting because I don't hate people of faith. That's fine. And there's some, interesting drama that you can generate between people's faith being broken, being rebuilt, being renewed. And I don't know. Father Gabriel's turned into a really cool character.
Yeah, I think so.
Hopefully they won't morgalize him. Like he's going through a nice arc. I needed him to come. I mean, it's the final season. How much morgalizing can they have him do? But like, I hope he finds his way back to the light.
We'll see. We're finding our way back to the mall where Maggie finds Boston Rob, but they're attacked again by the Reapers. Negan shows up to help Maggie out, but the other Reaper flashbangs him and gets away. And then Boston Rob is injured in the fight. Negan doesn't want to continue with the plan as is because it's completely broken now that they have like 2 fighters. But Maggie insists unless he has a better idea, which he doesn't.
Yeah, Boston Rob here really got some. I mean, just when Jim said he got injured, he's got some pretty big gashes to his belly, like damn near opened. And he's really hurting. This is another great scene. I thought the sunlight streaming through the windows, all the mannequins kind of creepy. Are they Reapers? Are they zombies? Or again, a really well conceived action scene. I don't know if I don't know. I never considered Maggie a badass on the level of like a Michonne or a Carol or even a Rosita, but like I guess I just need to get up on that fucking bandwagon because she is a stone. Like she's always a leader and strong and like what the Boston Rob says is able to do the hard decisions and make the right decisions. But I never thought she was. But now she's like fucking 1v1 and this dude that's like huge and hulking over her. And I guess I need to get on the page because I was thinking like, God damn, I don't see how she gets out of this, but she's able to beat him off and punch him and then stab him with that was a pretty cool kill. The bottle. Yeah. Bottle right into the broken bottle right to the neck.
Yeah. I don't know how these guys get away. So one guy, they're doing an effective job of making the Reapers almost seem superhuman because one guy gets a knife in his back. The other guy gets a broken bottle through his face and clubbed with a crowbar, knocks his ass out. And then 2 seconds later, the flashbangs go off and they're gone.
Yeah.
So either knife in the back guy got up, grabbed the other dude and drug him out of there, or that dude wasn't unconscious or dead, which is impressive.
I wonder if there'll be some explanation for like, are they like a religious cult that's found around PCP and meth?
Those magic mushrooms Rosita's picking. They're just high all the time. Yeah,
that would be interesting if they're literally like in some kind of pharmaceutical psychosis the whole time, so they're not feeling these. Yeah, that because like it almost you need an answer because it's not like body armor because you can see like shit's ripping into them and they're bleeding all that stuff, but they're able to get in and out without leaving anything but a little pool of blood.
And it's not like Jason where they're risen from hell or some shit, right? I mean, they're not literally going to be magical. So
right. Going to have to get Jamie Lee Curtis. Oh, old Jamie Lee Curtis
Carol.
And Carol. Yeah. Oh, it's Carol has a long lost sister. We didn't know it.
And
it's Jamie Lee Curtis. Can we get her in the first season of Carol and Daryl? Carol, Daryl, Curtis. That's what I need.
I would love it, but I'm not sure I could tell them apart. Legitimately.
I got such huge Carol energy from this new Halloween trailer. Yeah. I mean, it would God, yeah, it writes itself. Can we make this happen? Can we take one of the bags of money that we got to drop off at Frank Darabont's house and reallocate it to Jamie Lee Curtis? Please.
It would have been perfect for this final season with the Reapers, with the masks and their seeming superhuman status.
Yeah. And I would totally buy Carol having a sister that was estranged and she's never mentioned because she's embarrassed about her family and why not? Like, and they've had completely similar arcs and they're both badasses. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Let's see it. Come on, Walking Dead. You can spend a few extra bucks on Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah, I did. Also, I thought the line from Negan, it's like, I know theatrics, and what these guys just told me is that they are fucking great. That was such a great line because it's kind of like, it felt like
that's his move.
Yeah,
right?
like Ra's al Ghul, like laughing at Batman's, smoke bombs and shit. Like he knows all about theatrics and what it means. Yeah, I thought that was a really nice line.
Yeah, and what is Negan but a bunch of theatrics? I mean, early on, like killing Glenn isn't because he hated Glenn. Killing Glenn isn't
to make
anything but theatrics, right? Yep. He's making the point that like you are subservient now to me, and if you don't recognize that before I bash Glenn's brains in, well, maybe this will be a symbol. And yeah.
Oh yeah, Lucille, it's the leather jacket, everything was theatrics with him for sure.
Yeah. So Rosita'S Foraging when Carol, Kelly, and Prison Tats invite her to go horse hunting. They're not very good at it, and they don't catch any. And then Rosita tells Carol she's having dreams about Abraham getting shot in the head before he's able to tell her something important. And Prison Tats tells Kelly about horses.
Yeah,
she's setting up, like, when she says you never know if a horse will be back, she's setting up, planting the seed of like, you don't know if Connie will return, so don't get too hung up on it.
Yeah. I wonder if this Rosita having dreams about Abraham will pan off. It almost has to, right? Are we going to get Michael Cudlitz to come back to do a dream sequence?
Oh, that'd be cool.
They've all got together recently. Like, I don't know if you guys knew this, but the Invincible, the new animated series by Kirkman,
right.
on, like damn near the whole voice cast is just the greatest hits from The Walking Dead. Lauren Cohen's in it. Michael Cudlitz is it. It would be interesting if they bring him back because there's a couple of nods. Do you remember the episode in, I think it's season 5 or 6, where Daryl and Aaron go off to try to wrangle a horse? Like Aaron mentioned
the buttons thing that he was talking about earlier, right?
Yeah, they mentioned that they're doing these kind of references to the past, which I thought they did a lot really well in season 9 and 10. It would be nice to see him again as Aaron.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and as some kind of prophetic dream that she's having. I think that'd be kind of cool.
Somebody has definitely played Red Dead Redemption 2, because this was my exact experience trying to tame horses. Yeah,
man,
trying to lasso a horse and tame it.
If only Angus Sampson had not died, it would be so sweet to have him part of the horse wrangling crew. But I guess the all girl cowgirl horse rustling gang was sweet as well.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah. Also, Rosita, if you're gonna hunt mushrooms in a forest, you're gonna have to get a pig. I don't know how to tell you this.
Right.
That's how you get the good stuff. Turns out.
It's true. Boston Rob and Negan bicker on their walk. Then they hear someone screaming and decide to approach, and they find Agatha, which I guess is her name. I didn't know it. She's slaying some walkers, and then finds out that Shoulders is mortally wounded. And Shoulders asks Maggie to make sure Agatha gets home, and then Maggie kills him. Yeah, which,
those adults, they'll promise, but they can't keep those promises. Yeah, right? Damn it. I was pulling for Shoulders. We liked him.
Me too.
He already came out of the bat with a strong nickname. Another episode or 2 probably would have learned his proper name. He's cut down in his prime. It sucks.
It's like Duncan or something. Douglas. Starts with a D.
Yeah. I thought it was nice. Like, Matt, it's like you don't really care because this guy was, again, just a nickname and a cool looking dude. But like, Lauren Cohen, she goes for broke, kissing him on the head, trying to sell the moment as Maggie losing another little piece of herself. They're doing the best they can. Yeah.
And then Carol's group walks through the woods where they find a bunch of dismembered horses. I assume they were attacked by walkers.
I couldn't tell.
Can walkers do this to horses?
That's
Holy
the thing.
shit.
Like, it didn't look like the head was cut off. It looked like it was torn apart. But yeah, like I guess I would think the zombies would skeletonize it a little bit more before you just move it up. But maybe, I don't know. Maybe there was a small number of zombies. But then I don't know. Like, it felt like the horses were just standing in the middle of the woods within a tight cluster, and the zombies just went horse to horse and bit their throat out, and the horses just stood around and let it happen.
Stealth zombies. Like 500 stealth walkers got.
Like, if you'd have shown like a path of like dead horses that led into a direction, I think that would have been a bet. But I don't know. It is a creepy scene to come up and just like The Godfather times 100. With all these horses.
Right.
My sister doesn't watch the show, but my sister's a horse lover, and I don't know what it'd be like to be a horse lover and watch this show, because I just think like how wild it'd be if these were dogs instead of horses. So yeah, if you're a horse guy or gal, my sympathies. This is a rough episode.
You probably noped out in episode 1, right?
That's true.
Or the tank, whatever the tank episode was, 2 maybe.
I think it was first. Yeah, he gets thrown at the end, and the zombie just open that horse's belly right on.
Yeah.
So
the rest of the scene is the group wanting to turn back, but Carol wants to continue looking for some live horses. Prison Tats hugs her, and she changes her mind. But while they're walking home, they come upon a group of wild horses running through a field toward a dairy farm. They follow them there, pin them in, and Kelly realizes, hey, they just want to come home, so let's drop our lassos and let them. And that works.
The mini rustic dairy farms of the greater Baltimore and DC area.
Famed dairy farm. It's basically like Dutch, the Dutch countryside over there.
Oh yeah,
Washington DC.
Yeah. Just Amish, just causing traffic jams in DC. Okay, it's bullshit that Magna's the one that comforts and tries to read. Like, Rosita is right there. She has so much more history.
Yes, with Carol for sure.
Like, why did they even pick up Rosita, and then they're gonna let, I don't know. I thought that was dumb because the other thing is Magnus not been the one that's been the conciliator. Like, where did she learn this fucking skill all of a sudden? I thought that was weird.
Yeah, I thought she hated anyone and everyone all the time.
But some praise, they did an excellent job of keeping track of the time of day. Like
the bare fucking minimum, yes.
Well, but like I think that a lot of shows get away with just kind of shooting things like in the middle and do, but like they actually and yeah, I guess I will call it out because The Walking Dead struggled with this, but like the start of the daybreak and then you got the noon and then you got late in the, they're saying it's getting late in the day, the shadows are getting long in the woods. I mean, it's a little stuff, but it grounds you.
It does, yeah. It's a shame they haven't done that through the entire run. But.
Yeah. Like it's a lot better than when you can tell it's high fucking noon and they've run a blue filter over it.
Right. I think on other shows we never point this out because they just get it right.
It's true.
In this show, they've got it wrong so many times. It's fresh when it goes correctly.
Yeah.
All right. Gabriel approaches the Reaper, who's praying, also praying. Is that what does it? Is he like, God, I realize I'm doing the same thing the Reapers do. I don't know. He asked Gabriel to pray for him, and instead Gabriel declares God isn't here anymore and then murders him. Wow. I think you're right, though. He's the guy who's like angry at God and still believes in him, but, I don't know. He's hard to read. He's killing Terminators. He's praying to gods. Who knows? I
did like when the Reaper said, "Don't be afraid," and Gabriel says, "I'm not." That was a good delivery by Seth. I thought, like I said, who knew that Gabriel was going to turn into a badass? But man, with that fucking eye and the suit and the shotgun, he looks like a real badass.
I agree. Next up is Negan trying to convince Maggie that he's changed, but she refuses to believe it, and they continue moving. And then Boston Rob and Maggie talk about the sorry state of the communities and how they're going to rebuild. And they stop when Negan finds a burned up walker tied to a tree with a sign that says Judas overhead. And the walkers chasing them catch up and then take a big old bite out of Agatha. And then Maggie has to be dragged away screaming.
So they came so close. They had a plausible reason for why a zombie herd would catch up to them. Boston Rob's gimpy and he can't keep up and they're having to like fall back and like clear things. But like they did the whole thing where the actor draws their hand back, the camera swings over it, and the zombie just comes up in slow motion and treats it like it's a corn on the cob. And like there's got to be a better way to stage this. And they haven't done this in a couple seasons. They haven't done the stealth zombie. They did a stealth zombie this episode with Maggie in a stairwell. I don't know. Maybe it's a lurker and it just woke up. But like, there's a more exciting way you can tell the story of a survivor slipping. Especially, these are grizzled, experienced, hardcore survivors. They shouldn't be making season 1 mistakes. This is like,
you don't get this far unless your head's on a swivel.
Yeah, this is like some Andrea's sister season 1 shit that she's pulling. And I think with a little bit of work, a little bit of like talking things through with this stunt zombies and stuff, you can film this better. You got these digital lightweight cameras, do some cool shit with it.
Yeah. So here we got to talk about my theory. So Casey Jones, we saw his face, right? We do know what he looks like because he ridiculously took off his mask that one time to just say something,
right?
Or to not say something. I can't remember.
To just show his face.
Yeah. But we don't know what a burned up Casey Jones might look like. And they snatched him at the beginning of this episode. I'm wondering if this walker that's been burned up with the Judas sign over his head isn't Casey Jones, the turncoat motherfucker who sided with Maggie and left the Reapers, because like he conspicuously looks a lot like a Reaper with the mask and the armor and the hood.
He's got to be a Reaper, ex-Reaper.
Right. I wonder if they snatched him back up and then made him pay for his betrayal.
Could be. It's a waste. I mean, is Casey Jones a cool character? He's designed, he looks like an action figure. So I guess he's like a 14-year-old boy's idea of a cool character. And he's a good fighter. But I honestly think now that we've seen the Reapers and it seems obvious that he was a Reaper, it's weird that the show has not addressed the fact that he is a Reaper.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, it's not like the show doesn't have the language. Like, if they're like, oh my God, he's a Reaper, Maggie could go, like, you know, you got Boston Rob be like, oh, how can you trust him as a Reaper? Used to be a savior, asshole. You know,
Yeah, I wonder if they're saving that for an appropriate moment.
But what's I mean, of all the talk that they've talked about the Reapers, and she's talked about how, like, they can't just say that, like, oh, this is one of them. Now that like Negan has seen a Reaper, I think the perfect opportunity would be for him to be like, when are you going to tell me this guy used to be a Reaper? What's his fucking story? Or blah, blah, blah. I don't know. So that's like, I think it's a great theory because it fits. But like, what the hell are they doing with him then? You know?
Good question.
Yeah.
I mean, either way, he's gone, right? I don't think he could escape the Reapers.
Well, if he's an ex-Reaper, I think he could do it. You know, because he knows how they fight. He knows how they get away.
Maybe.
He's like I said, I'm just going to guess he's like super tough and resilient. But yeah, I think it's a great theory. It just narratively, it really deads in this very distinctive character that they bothered to show a face to, that they built some connections with Kelly that haven't paid off yet, that Maggie, I think, refers to him as the kid and like kind of protective over him. Like it fits the facts, though. I'll say that.
Yeah, it does. And I'm not like super serious on it. I just thought, yeah, it does kind of fit. But you're right. Narratively, it's going to be a bit of a dead end. And Maggie's just losing all her people, right? I mean, Agatha got bitten, Shoulders is dead, and now
Jesus
Casey Jones is
2.0,
gone.
Jesus 3.0 both went down this episode.
Right.
Throat slit and just grievously wounded. Yeah, she's
I think it's just Maggie left from that group,
because like I was not super we talked about like, yeah, fuck all these people and their names and all that, but like I thought we'd get one or two of the, I thought we'd get Shoulders and one of the Jesuses, but I know they're just all we got left is maybe Casey Jones if he isn't Judas.
Right. We'll
Herschel
see.
Jr.
I did think it was funny how we just, I think last week, talked about burned up walkers and, the effect that fire and heat would have on a walker brain, thereby killing
it. Zombies are fireproof. This was
apparently
a burnt beef jerky skeleton.
Yeah.
And it was actually that's got to be an animatronic, right? There's no way they fit someone in that makeup. It was great. It looked amazing.
The sunken, the hollowed out eyes.
Yeah.
That shit looked really cool.
It was very cool. I liked it a lot. So kudos on that, but also like, I guess zombies are just fucking fireproof.
Mm-hmm. Carol's group parades their newfound horses through town to everyone's delight. And then Prison Tats asks Carol to stop giving Kelly false hope that Connie could still be alive. And Carol takes a horse into the barn, lays it down, and cuts its throat. Aaron sees it and he understands.
The horse, I mean, it wasn't because they needed it for food. This horse was desperate need for ivermectin. Some deworming is just full of worms.
Can you make that from horse blood?
And they just the COVID virus, the COVID pre-zombie pandemic just wiped out the world supply. It's a tragedy. It's a tragedy, and the horse had to pay the price. They didn't lose their blue filter, it turns out, because this was the bluest filtered scene I've seen in a show, and it looked like the shirt I'm wearing. Like they slapped the bluest of filters on this last scene, probably because there's they were suggesting that's about to turn night. But
yes,
yeah, they're definitely shooting noon for dusk right now. But yeah, I was confused about them killing the horse, but then I'm like, oh, of course they're going to. But I also I don't think horse meat's that bad, right? Like it looked like it was
just
zombie
like any
flesh.
other meat.
Yeah, like maybe cook it, guys. Maybe cook it and not serve it raw, dipped in blood to the children.
Yeah, this scene is good. I enjoyed it. The kids are not interested in eating the horse meat, but Herschel Jr. It's really the only food around, and Herschel Jr.'s apparently eaten it before.
He's been on the road.
They're out on the road. You eat what you find.
It's like it reminded me of in The Wire, the discussion between the stoop kids and the street kids. Like you got the kids that stay.
Yeah,
all these Alexandrians are porch kids, and
they're future shitty teens, is what they are. Future shitty teens.
Yeah, but Glenn's got some bottom to him, or not Glenn. God damn it, Herschel. Herschel's got some bottom to him because he's been out there on the road eating spiders.
Yeah.
I like how his eyes he's I don't know if he's for real about that or what, but yeah. Judith
I like
thought
to
she
think
was
he's got a
hard
sense
until
of
she met
humor.
Herschel, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. I like to think he's just scaring the other kids. Like, we might have to eat spiders.
Yeah. Oh,
Better
also,
eat this fucking horse meat.
it's a perfect Walking Dead moment to contrast to like how everyone's overjoyed at the surprise return of the horses. They thought they were long gone, and then Carol slitting one of its throats and bleeding it out. Yeah, you get a little bit of joy, and then it'll turn to ash in your mouth, and then it turns to horse flesh. So,
yeah. Rosita walks Coco around the town, showing her the horses and the horse killer, Carol. What does this look after seeing Carol? Does she like... I don't know what this look is that she gets from Rosita.
I'm guessing that something about Abraham's dream is going to involve something with Carol that's going to be meaningful for her. Because otherwise, I don't. Yeah, because she's got the blood on her hands. She's washing it, trying to get it clean. It seems like she's looking at her sympathetically, like maybe she sees the burden that Carol's trying to carry. I don't know, but it's something. There's some kind of connection there.
It's almost like, I don't know, like she had come up and washed her bloody ass hands in like the bowl that she was preparing for Coco's bath or something. Like there was almost like an offended quality to it.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought that was, and I was like, well, if you're trying to build some new arc with Carol and Rosita, then especially why isn't Rosita the one hugging her earlier? But we'll see. There's definitely some unfinished business here.
And then Kelly sits with prison tats by the windmill. Carol comes by and fetches Kelly to go out looking for Connie, I think.
Yeah, they're doing a Connie patrol, I think.
Yeah. Which is exactly the opposite of what prison tats wanted her to do. Mm-hmm. Maybe. This could be salvaged if Carol takes her out and says, hey, this might be like the last time we do this because it's getting pretty long in the tooth. This whole holding out hope thing. I don't know.
See,
I don't think Carol's going to be swayed.
I think the horses is completely like she started to process what Magna was saying, but now the horses' miraculous return has got that's charged their Connie batteries for weeks, if not months.
Yeah.
We were just about to remember we were about to give up on the horses, and then we found the fuck them, and they were all those horse dead, and it saved the day. It's going to be at least eight, the first part of the season arc for sure.
Then Maggie's group continues walking, this time on the road. I think Negan's eating cardboard. Or maybe just something that tastes like it. Maybe he's eating
one of the bad MREs. They can't all be great.
Oh, I was thinking they found a Little Caesars that still had some pizza left or something.
Neither the dough nor the sauce would ever go bad. They're like Twinkies. You don't even have to wrap them. There's nothing that can get purchased on that surface.
And then they see an abandoned church and decide to rest. And Boston Rob tries to convince them to leave him behind. Maggie blames literally everything bad that's ever happened to her in the community on Negan. But she still has to decide whether to leave Boston Rob behind, and she eventually gives him some food and Negan's knife and says, I'll come back for you. And then Maggie and Negan head to the mission rendezvous, now alone.
I thought this was a good scene for Maggie and Negan because Maggie did that whole, she gave him everything she had, laid it all on his feet, and it said, you don't get to make the choice of who lives and who dies, and it just goes on this tirade, and he just comes back. It's like, you're right, but you have to make the decision.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was great. I thought that was a nice scene. So
I don't know. I find it hard to pin everything on Negan here. Yes, he's caused a lot of problems, but you've been gone for 6 years. I don't think you get to come back and point the finger at everything bad ever happening to you and your communities on Negan. I think at some point you have to take responsibility for your actions, and you can't just blame them all on somebody else. And no matter what they've done to you, that doesn't work for 6 years.
Yeah, I think, but if I'm putting myself in Maggie's place again, how shocking Negan's position is when she returns, and the fact that so she has a 6-year pause in relation to the Negan, and she comes back and what she hears is, oh, Negan helped burn down the hilltop. And clearly they set that up that was she says nothing much surprises me, but the fact that Hilltop was burnt down did. I kind of get what they're going for here. Like I said, like where Maggie and Negan feel at the end of this episode is where I kind of thought they'd be after 3 or 4 episodes. We just took a wild fucking twisting path to get there, rather than the narrative through line that I thought they were going for. But I think I can. I think I can roll with it now.
Mm-hmm.
And I also thought the last scene of like Negan teeing off on that zombie with the drip with the blood and brains dripping off a crowbar, and it's in the foreground, and Maggie's I mean, that's a clear allusion to her remembering what it was like when he beat Glenn to death. And
it sets up the tension now, especially now that they're alone together, right? Like that's the thing. They're walking off together on a mission that one of them doesn't even believe in, and they have very good reasons to want to kill each other still.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot of tension there.
Yeah, and it's going to be really interesting because here's what I think is going to happen is like I think they're going to be able to complete the mission, and maybe they'll be able to even rescue Boston. Well, I don't know.
How are they going to?
I don't know if Boston Rob makes
mission?
It. Boston Rob, this felt like a last episode for Boston Rob. He said more lines in this episode than he has in the previous 3 seasons. They're leaving him alone in Reaper territory with a whole bunch of sacrificial Jesus imagery around him. But I do think the big test for Maggie is like if they're making their way back with the goods, which I don't even know what that looks like. Her and Negan hoofing a whole bunch of shit on their backs. But when she no longer needs Negan to complete the mission, I think there's going to be one last like gun to the head kind of standoff. And I don't know how that resolves because it's the last season. Like she could blow Negan's brains out. That would be interesting.
Yeah, I guess we'll see how many Reapers there are. I just don't know how they have any hope with. Like, I mean, it's Daryl, Negan, and Maggie, as best I can tell now, is all that's left.
And Daryl, where the hell is Daryl?
No one knows.
I mean, he survived the encounter, I guarantee, but like they're split, so.
Yeah, so I don't know how they have any hope of taking Meridian, but I'm sure they'll pull something out of their ass.
Yeah. Casey Jones might still be alive if your Judas theory is off. But still 4 people.
Yeah, but captured probably.
4 people wounded. Gabriel 5. Boston Rob, but like
right, Gabriel's
half those people are wounded. Gabriel's like limping,
barely walk,
low on blood. Yeah. And I like I said, I thought it was nice that like they made some progress with the Glenn or the Maggie Negan narrative, but that last shot kind of like reminded us that no, there might be a little bit of respect or some kind of like Maggie's said some of the things she needed to say, but there's still a lot to this relationship.
Also, how are they going to find the rendezvous? I mean, they made a big deal about Negan being their tour guide here. Did they have a like powwow before this?
The radio tower?
Hey, everybody, here's where the tower is.
No, but I guess it's one of those things where it's like I want to see what it looks like, because if it's like a big tower, like a couple 100 meters tall, then like, okay, well maybe everyone can. Yeah, you're close enough to start converging on that spot. But if it's like one of those where they say, oh, we got everybody's shacked up in a hospital tower, and it's like a 4-story low rise. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know.
Or if the tower is like the communication station that the Saviors had, where it's like, okay, it's an antenna, but it's not.
You couldn't see it from. Yeah.
You couldn't see it over a modest sized hill. So
do you think that if this is a large radio tower, that's going to play into the future? Because the thing that kicked off the Commonwealth thing is, Eugene's high gain radio stuff. I wonder,
I like that. Maybe they never have to go to Meridian because they get in the radio tower and they hear communications about Ezekiel, and like they're on the radio trying to contact Alexandria, so they hear him.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. If that
would seem anticlimactic though.
Or like if the Commonwealth, because that's the Georgie Depot, maybe the Commonwealth has taken it over and it's just it's a Commonwealth base now. But then I don't know what that does to the Reapers, because I feel like the Reapers are going to be this season's big threat, and I think they'll be dealt with this 8 episode, and then that'll leave the rest of the 16 episodes that deal with the Commonwealth
for the next big bad. Yeah, the next 2 big bads,
the next
right?
Big gray.
A big bad in this 8, a big bad in next 8, and a big bad in the final 8.
Yeah, I don't know. The Commonwealth feels robust enough to be essentially a whole season, and I hope they get that. Yeah. So we'll see.
Yeah.
What did you guys all think of this episode? We would love to know. There's a way you can do. You can send in your thoughts to us. It's watchingdead@baldmove.com. Send us an email. If you don't know, every Wednesday at 1 p.m. on twitch.tv/baldmove, we do a live feedback episode. You can stop by and watch us record the episode live. Otherwise, it'll be out within 24 hours of us recording it to kind of get you prepped for the next week's episode. So again, these episodes drop pretty much the same time Walking Dead airs on AMC, 9 p.m. on Sunday. We live record the feedback episode 1 p.m. on Twitch. And everything else, check out baldmove.com if you like to see some of the other stuff we're doing. So that'll do it for this week. We will see you back for the feedback episode and next weekend for another exciting episode of The Walking Dead. See how blue the filters will get. Until then, I'm Aaron.
And I'm Jim.
See ya.